You're listening to Mammalwatching with Charles Foley and John Hall. You can find other episodes at mammalwatching.com/podcast.
Welcome to the Mammalwatching podcast with me, Charles Foley in Minneapolis.
And me, John Hall, back in New York. Hi, Charles. How are you?
Very well, John. And how are you? Because I know you recently came back from the Azores where you did some fantastic mammal watching.
I did, Charles. It was a good trip. And you and I have talked about luck. And I'm beginning to think this is a real thing. And I'm beginning to think my hat, or my two lucky hats, have got something to do with it, I have to say. So the story was that Alex Meyer went to the Azores, there's islands, Portuguese islands in the Atlantic, sort of 1,000 miles of Portugal, a few months or a year ago, and he came back and his daughter had seen a mammal I hadn't seen. His daughter's like 1, or maybe she's 2 now. So she'd seen an Azorian noctule, and this was like too much to bear, that there's a mammal I hadn't seen. But I'd wanted to go there for a while because it's got world-class whale watching. So I thought it'd be a nice place to go for a few days during the summer. And also Todd Pusser, when I was on the Vaquita trip, he had recommended the Azores as a great place to see Sowerby's beaked whales, which I've missed off New York a few times. So I sort of talked around and found, a company called Espasa Talasa that knew the stuff, and spoke to the captain there via a friend of a friend who'd worked there, and got some advice on how to look for them and so on. But everyone said there's a small chance you'll see these beaked whales in a few days. It needs good weather. There are some other beaked whale species there. Even very, very occasionally, every few years, they see pygmy sperm whales, which are the dwarf form of sperm whale that I'd missed. I saw the dwarf ones in May. The pygmy ones are the other species, and apparently quite a lot rarer and harder to see. So I went there with sort of mixed expectations, but just think at least I'd see the bat. And we had exceptional weather. We were just extremely lucky with the weather was the first thing. We had absolutely flat, calm seas the whole time I was there. And on the second morning I went out, the animals just kept coming. We had a pod of 5 pygmy sperm whales. The only time our captain had seen those, as many as those. He sees them maybe once a year. Helen Martins, who gave me advice on which the company to go with, and Captain Joao to talk to. She hadn't seen them in 5 years working there as a guide. So we had a pod of 5 of those, and then we had spotted dolphins, Risso's dolphins, sei whale. Then we had Sowerby's beaked whales, like really close, a big pod of those sort of jumping around. Then we had Cuvier's beaked whales. By the end of it, Captain was just laughing. And I went there with Jonas and Ruta, the mammal watchers who were with me in Svalbard. They got it too, but none of the other passengers. It was their first or second time out on the boat. They didn't understand quite what was happening, so he was just laughing, just shaking his head, going, "You guys don't understand. It's not usually like this." So we had sperm whales as well. We had a baby sperm whale, very, very young baby, go right under the Zodiac. I could have grabbed its tail. We think it thought the boat was its mother. It got confused, so it literally scraped under the Zodiac looking up at us. So just an extraordinary morning. And at the end of it, Zhao, our captain, did the math, and he thinks in 26 years working as a whale watching guide in the Azores, he'd seen 8 species in the morning, maybe 2 or 3 times. He'd seen 9 species once, but this was the first time he'd ever seen 10 species in a morning, including like some of those mega rare ones. So my lucky hat is now famous across Pico Island. And I'm hoping to keep the myth alive and growing so I can sell it on eBay in a year or 2. So yeah, it's a wonderful place. I really recommend it. For the whale watching, obviously, but for the people, for the food, it's a lovely, quiet, very picturesque island to spend some time on. And there's actually direct flights from New York and Boston, I think, to the Azores. And of course, it's pretty easy to get to from Portugal. So yeah, it was a fun few days.
Right. Sounds absolutely magical. And yes, I think what you should actually do is rent out your lucky hat. I'm sure there are plenty of mammal watchers who will give you good money to use it for a trip or 2.
I hadn't thought about the rental market. It is pretty gross, I have to say. So they'd have to have all the vaccinations, and I daren't wash it in case the luckiness is destroyed. But yeah, I might think about that. If anyone wants to rent my hat, message me.
I think you're onto something there, John.
So Charles and I are delighted today to be joined by Rod Cassidy, who's speaking from South Africa. Some of you will have met Rod, many of you will have heard of Rod, but he grew up in Durban in South Africa. He spent the first part of his career working in conservation research and conservation tourism. He led trips around the world, mainly bird trips, but you'll be very pleased to hear he tells us he's now seen the light. Really, mammals are his main thing. In 2009, Rod took the really courageous decision to set up Sangha Lodge in the Central African Republic, and the rest is history. Both Charles and I have visited. I visited in 2011, so I guess the lodge was just 2 years old, and it remains, I think, my favorite lodge on the planet. It's a spectacular place, and Rod is a spectacular host. Rod Cassidy, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, John, thanks for that. It's very humbling. Thank you.
Good to see you again, Rod.
You too, Charles. Yeah.
So, Rod, can you start by explaining how you first became interested in wildlife?
I say yes, I can because I'm willing to, but I can't because I don't know how I became interested in wildlife. That's the honest truth. I grew up in the city in Durban, and so I wasn't exposed to wildlife except having the ocean in front of me. I just got interested. I was just interested from a young age, from about 10, 11 years old, and I used to go out birding. And I think it was chance meetings with people that influenced me, that became sort of mentors to me, that got me more interested and more focused in wildlife and conservation, which has been my passion.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you started out originally as a bird guide, right? And were you mainly focused around South Africa, or was it Pan-African?
Well, the first job I ever had was I got offered a job at the Fitzpatrick Institute at the University of Cape Town to work on the Antarctic program. So my first job was watching birds at sea for 2 years in the Antarctic, basically, Marion Island, Gough Island, and the Antarctic itself, the ice itself. So it was a dream job for somebody who was keen on wildlife and birds. But from there I developed and became, because of my bird knowledge, started guiding tours later on. And yeah, so my bird guiding was first of all around South Africa, because in those days was apartheid era and we couldn't travel much. And then later on into Central Africa, Namibia, all of Southern Africa, and then to Gabon and Congo and more adventurous places where people weren't going, was more interesting to me. I've also led trips in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Borneo, Peninsular Malaysia. So I've traveled quite a lot. Been fortunate.
Am I remembering right? Didn't you hold the 24-hour bird record at one point?
No. I've been I've twice tried to beat the world record with sponsored events, and been in the team that's tried twice with a lot of effort behind it to do that. The first time it was Ian Sinclair, Peter Ryan, and myself, and the second time was Ian Sinclair, Joe Grossel, and myself. But we never managed to do it. Joe Grossel held the South African record of 320 birds, I think, in a small area around his hometown. But he unfortunately died of a young man of COVID during the COVID era. Yeah.
I also remember you telling me some great stories about work you did in research, doing bat work, and remember a story about a misnetting a black rhino and things. So how much of that, when did that happen, the field research stuff?
That happened. After I left the Fitzpatrick Institute, I worked there 2 years, and then I moved to the Transvaal Museum, where I worked in birds and bats as an assistant. We worked. I worked with a guy named Nas Reitenbach, who did a lot of the early bat work, the early pre-DNA stuff on, I can't remember what they call it now. bats, and so we were
Taxonomy.
unfortunately had to collect a lot of bats. A lot of that was messy. There were some funny stories around that if you have time.
Oh, we have time. I love these stories. Just tell us one.
Well, the funniest bat story I have is Nas and I, we went to a place called Mission Rocks. We needed a sample of Rosettas, and there was a cave on the coast at St. Lucia, which is now a World Heritage Site. We walked up the beach. We parked the car and we walked up the beach to this bat cave, thinking we took all our nets and stuff, and we walked into this cave that's got Rosettas in. And the cave was 30 meters high. So maybe 20 meters high. So swinging nets and throwing stones wasn't going to do anything to these bats. So Cassidy, the Irishman, gets this great idea to go back down the beach and get the shotgun. So I walked back to this cave with a shotgun. I don't know if I should be telling this story, eh? This was nearly 40 years ago, guys. Yeah. So except it was a different time. I walked back to the cave with a shotgun and go into this cave and point the shotgun at this a small cluster of bats on the side, because there's like 5,000 of these fruit bats directly above us, and then there's a couple of clusters on the side. I think, oh, well, I'm going to get one of these now if I shoot at that cluster. But stop and think, I'm in a cave. So you fire the shotgun and it's like two red hot pokers being poked in your ears at the same time, and every single bat shits itself. And we were just covered in pawpaw. In our eyes, in our hair, in our teeth, everywhere. We couldn't see, dropped the gun on the ground. It was a mess, and we couldn't hear. It was like yeah, it's a real Darwin moment, you know.
I love that story. So you doing all this guiding and research, and you decided to open a lodge in the Central African Republic. How on earth did you come to that decision?
Okay, I was leading trips, a lot of trips to Gabon, and then birding trips, and then I was asked to do some mammal watching trips. We're really looking for gorillas in Gabon, but also other things like mandrills and the like in Gabon. So I started for this American company called Mountain Travel Sobek. So I did these trips. We never saw any gorillas. So then in their eyes, they were a failure. But the trips were fantastic. And the clients were much, much easier to deal with than birding clients. Birding clients are, to be honest, pains in the asses. But so you know, because you never get a break with birding clients, because you've never seen all the birds, so they want to get up at 5 in the morning and go to sleep at 9 or 10 at night after having spent the whole time birding. So it's exhausting. So, but the wildlife clients were a bit easier going. So I decided, let me try doing more of these trips. So I heard of Odzala while I was working in Gabon. And I started running trips to Odzala. This was in 2001, 2002. And Odzala was fantastic then. I mean, you would go to this place called Maya North, where you'd walk into this bai and you'd see maybe 20, 30 gorillas, loads of elephants, loads and loads of elephants.
Wow.
Sitatunga, bongo. We even saw leopards on the trips we did. It was just phenomenal. Plus yellowback duikers and all sorts of other things. It was phenomenal.
And Odzala was DRC or Cameroon?
Oh, no, Odzala is in Republic of Congo.
Republic of Congo. Okay.
Yeah. Congo, Brazzaville.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, in 2002, an Ebola outbreak happened there, and it wiped out, killed a lot of people, and it started to wipe out the gorillas, and it ended up wiping out unknown number of gorillas, but estimated more than 5,000 gorillas.
Oh, wow. I didn't know gorillas suffered from Ebola. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. No,
Oh, wow.
gorillas and chimps, yeah, it wipes them out.
Oh,
Yeah. And so the government actually closed the park, so that killed the product. So I was doing that Odzala trip with Nubali and Doki. So I spent a week in Odzala and a week in Nubali and Doki. So I just decided, okay, Nubali and Doki, it's too short a time to spend a week there. So that's when I first came to Central African Republic. I decided to do a recce to Central African Republic. And the first time I got there, I really fell in love with the place because it's much more varied, the habitat than just the plain rainforest, because it's closer to the edge of the Congo basin, and you've got real lowland rainforest, and then you've got this sort of intermediate zone where our lodge is, a lot more deciduous trees, and you're going up into the hill zone, and then you get to savanna. So it's a lot more varied, and a lot more to do there. The interesting people, the Baaka who live there. It's just got a lot more potential, and totally unexplored. And so I started running trips there, and they went really well. But I didn't like the way the lodge was being run that we were staying in there, and thought I could do a better job. And I heard of this hunting camp that was there, and it came at a time of my life when my kids were off my hands and it was time to change. So I decided to try the lodge effort. Probably a mistake, but I'm loving it and still hanging in. Barely, but still hanging in. Yeah, and still seeing some good stuff, and still, yeah. Can't wait to be back. I'll be back in 3 or 4 days.
Rod,
Yeah.
I can't actually think of a harder country in the world in which to run a lodge. So what are some of the challenges that you face working in that area?
Yeah, the biggest challenge are logistics. I mean, getting things there is the logistics, but our real challenge is finances. We need to get clients, and it's hard to sell the area. Yeah, it's really safe. I mean, there's no, and the people are really friendly, but the perception is that the country is you're going to die if you go there, which is not true. But that perception of this country being so unsafe, which is perpetuated by the media all the time, is my biggest challenge. It's to try and get people to believe that they can come there. And the clients that are willing to come, and people that you're just wasting your time even trying to get to come there. But yeah, it's that's my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge is getting people to visit, because we really need bums in beds to keep on doing the work we're doing. Yeah,
I remember when our group came in, there was a bit of a dust up at the time between the UN and one of the rebel groups in Bangui, but we were just in touch with you guys all the time, and you were just able to say, no, it's fine, you'll be fine, and it was. We just flew into Bangui, and we just stayed at the airport, flew out an hour and a half later or so, and you have this had this fantastic fixer over there who was just brilliant. I mean, the guy, he was just a miracle worker. He just got us through everything really quickly. And then you fly to the lodge, and the lodge is in the middle of nowhere. It's about as far from anywhere you could get in CAR. Yeah, it's right on the border with Cameroon, isn't it? So yeah, and we felt extremely safe when we were there.
Yeah, no, it's really safe. I've left my wife there by herself. It's not, I'm not worried that anything's going to happen to her. She's extremely safe, and it's also very close to, like you say, to Cameroon and Congo. So we have good boats, so we can easily get out if we needed to. It's only an hour downriver, so it's if we go full speed, and the river's high. If the river's low, it's a lot longer.
So, Rod, Sangha Bai has been called the Serengeti of the forest. Well, by me actually, but anyway, I think it's still pertinent. But can you tell us a little bit about the Bai, because that's really the jewel in the crown of the area, isn't it?
The Bai it's a mineral clearing in the middle of the rainforest. It's Sangha Bai. I think it actually means the elephant's playground or the elephant's garden in the Baaka language, Sangha. Something in that line. It's kept open by elephants. It's at any one time you can see up to 150 elephants. I think that the record last year was the highest ever recorded was 210 elephants or something in the Bai in a single day, which must have been phenomenal. But I mean, even with 50 elephants in the Bai, you've always got something to look at. So numbers like that are just obscene. So it attracts the minerals attract these elephants and also other game, especially buffaloes and bongos are coming seasonally. They're becoming more and more regular. Bongos. A giant forest hog come in quite often. At least 50% of the time we visit these days. Red river hog we seldom see these days, but you can sleep at the Bai now. It used to be by arrangement only. Now it's an advertised activity, so we can arrange for you to sleep at the Bai. There you stand a better chance of seeing red river hogs, but it will be at night. And then the numbers of elephants go up incredibly at nighttime. There's permanent researchers at the Bai working for the Elephant Listening Project out of Cornell University. So there's always a scientist there to help you interpret. Well, no, there's often a scientist there to help you interpret what you're seeing, which is also adds a hell of a lot of value to the experience.
So, if I recall, it's about an hour's drive from the lodge to where you leave the vehicle, and then you walk to the Bai, which is about 30 minutes, and that's great because you've got elephants all around, and then you finally get to the Bai, and there's a huge tree house over there, isn't there? So then you're high up, platform, and then you look down.
Yeah, exactly. There's a platform. It's about 20 meters off the ground. That's covered, so you're not in the sun and you're not in the rain. The walk from the car park is about 2 kilometers. It's a fantastic walk. It's in itself. I love doing the walk, but most people just want to rush to the Bai. But I love just doing that walk slowly. I've seen gorillas on that walk. Birding is great, but we're not allowed to mention birds on this, so you told me that was the brief.
And why do the elephants actually come into the Bai?
It's for minerals, I believe. Things like trace elements and selenium and things like that, I believe, are in the salts that come up there. So that's the cause. It's not the only Bai like that. It's the one with the huge numbers. There was a similar Bai in Odzala called Capital, but it was affected by a poaching crisis between the Ebola crisis, which was 2002, till when African Parks took over, which I think was about 2009, 8 or 9. There was a huge poaching crisis where I think about 5,000 elephants got shot, and Capital was the center of that. So there's very few elephants you see at Capital now, but apparently that was like Sangha Bai. Maya North was also a bit like Sangha Bai, but bigger with a lot more varied habitat within it. So you also got gorillas. You don't get gorillas at Sangha Bai, only elephants. You get gorillas on the walk to Sangha Bai occasionally, but not in the Bai itself.
Yeah, and one of the things that I remember being so special about the Bai is you'll get these little water holes, and they've got water at the bottom, and the elephants will get down on their knees and stick their trunks down, and then they will blow down. So you get all these bubbles coming up, and it seems to be a way of stirring up the mud from the bottom so that they get more minerals in it. And I have to admit, sitting up there and watching those animals was an absolutely magical experience. And the highlight for me was spending a night in the Bai, because you just get left over there. The sun's going down. You see the animals like moving in, moving out. At night, we had a thermal, so you get told not to use a torchlight in case it scares the animals. But with the thermals, we could see everything. So 25 forest hogs, Red River hogs, sorry, came in. And then, of course, in the morning at like 5 o'clock, everything comes to life again. And so you're seeing all that. So I have to admit, probably one of the most spectacular wildlife experiences I've had.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic sunrise. At the Bai, is if you get this fog in the Bai and the sun coming up and the mist and the elephants and the sun rising, it makes for some really amazing scenes. It really does. It's a very, very special place.
And I second that. I mean, it is one of the most magical wildlife experiences in the world. And it's hard to do it justice, just from talking about it. But that walk in, Rod, as you're saying, as you approach the Bai, you don't see it, but you start to hear the noises of the elephants trumpeting through the forest. And it's like something out of Jurassic Park. It's such an adventure going there. I love it. But there is more to the park than the Bai, Rod. What other wildlife activities and experiences are there?
Yeah, we've had a run of bad luck, which is another challenge for us. You know, gorillas are normally a big draw card for any tourists, and you can get habituated gorillas in certain areas. We had 3 groups of habituated gorillas, and they all died within a year of each other. Tragically, you know, two silverbacks killed in a fight, and 1 fell from a tree. So we lost our 3 habituated groups of gorillas, and it's going to take a while for the next group to come back, you know, be habituated. You know, you lose the male and then the groups break up. So I mean, it doesn't mean that all the gorillas die, just the males die. But so one of the groups they're habituating now has got 2 or 3 of the previously habituated females in the group. So we're hoping that's going to make it a little bit faster. But there's, you know, there's much more to the rainforest than elephants and gorillas. And if you consider how many people go to the Amazon every year, and they don't have elephants or gorillas, you know, there has to be a much more depth to it. Yeah, we've got great. I mean, our night walks are phenomenal. You've got 10 species of squirrel. So, you know, just around camp, we can see 4 or 5 species of squirrel without any difficulty. And the night walks, you know, 4 species of galago, poto, palm civets, pangolin, anomalure. The 2 species of anomalure are common, and 2 others are rare. Yeah, it's there's a lot to see. Definitely, as a mammal twitcher, you'll never be bored in my place. If you're interested in wildlife, if you're interested in biodiversity, you'll never be bored. It's just I'm never bored. I've been there 15 years.
Yeah. You also get Idiurus, the flying mice around your place, don't you?
Yeah, you know, they were never recorded until we started doing arboreal camera trapping for our pangolins. You know, Tam and Tessa have been doing research on arboreal pangolins and putting camera traps up in the canopy. It's been going on for 5 years now. But yeah, we're getting a lot of firsts from that for the country. We got lesser anomalure, and one of the flying squirrels. We haven't identified it. One of the flying mice. I mean, we haven't identified it to species. It's either Zinc or long-eared. You know, it's difficult to say which one. From the camera trap photos, yeah, we've got lots of the Cameroon scaly tail. There's a every night in the camera traps.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're very, yeah. And we've got a couple of records of what's the first records for the country of the Oyan, Central African Oyan.
Oh,
wow.
really?
Yeah, that's in our camera traps.
And the Oyen is like a genet, isn't it? It's a
yeah,
it's a-
linseng. It's like a linseng, like the
Yeah.
Asian linsengs. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
carnivore. Huh, wow.
yeah,
And you got those on the camera traps, right?
yeah, yeah. I've seen one actually in the wild, and that
Uh-huh.
was on Mount Kupe many years ago
Mhm.
on a birding trip. Let I say birds. Um, on a
Wow.
birding trip, yeah. Just actually daytime. We stopped for a rest going up Mount Kupe at a sort of a picnic spot or a sort of clearing where they'd obviously stop every time they go up the mountain. And the thing was in the tree above us and tried to sneak away without us seeing it. It was really cool to watch. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's a
Fantastic.
really
They
difficult
are
animal
beautiful
to see.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the status of Alan's swamp monkey? Because I saw on your website, or you put on Facebook some time ago, that
Yeah.
you had got some camera trap records of those. Have you clapped eyes on them at all?
I've never seen one. No, but we've got, I got really bad camera trap pictures of one about probably 10 years ago. That was the first record for the country. And then about 3-4 years ago, just at the camp, I mean, literally right next to our generator, we had a camera trap up there. And we got really great pictures, daytime pictures of in sunlight of a single Allen swamp monkey. They started doing camera trap surveys as a new method of doing inventory of the animals in the park, I suppose 5 years ago. And they've across the river, on the other side of the river from us in the protected area, they've got a lot of swamp monkeys in their camera traps. Not just one or two, but several. I mean, so I presume if you wanted to seek them out, that area would be the area to look for them. All the pictures we've got of them, they haven't actually been in swamps. They've always been on the ground. So that's quite interesting. I figure they're probably a terrestrial monkey that lives in the swamps when there's no water. So it lives on that open country in the swamps. When in the dry season, when the water drops, that's where I think it probably lives in there. And then in the wet season, it just moves into the adjacent dry forest. I think it's going to be more terrestrial, just from what I've seen of the camera trap pictures. Yeah.
Wow. It's a very desired primate. I can't think of anyone I know who's seen one. Do you know anyone who's seen one, Charles?
I don't. I think maybe Boo Maisels from WCS might have. Yeah,
I was just going to say, yeah, I know somebody, Boo Maisels. No, Boo has seen one, yeah.
Right.
Wow. And something else you're doing at the lodge, which is pretty well known, is the pangolin work you're doing. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, that started with us rescuing some pangolins during in 2014. We started noticing a few pangolins in the bushmeat trade, which hadn't been very common before that. So we started rescuing ones we found in the bushmeat trade, and we ended up getting a couple of small ones as well. And so to date we've rescued 110, I think, we're on now.
Wow.
But just rescuing them and releasing them is not doing any good. So we started a research program on them, and we also at that stage, and we started education awareness programs for the locals, as well as empowering the law enforcement with knowledge so that they know they're protected. So with that awareness program and then an increased law enforcement on pangolins, we've seen a drop to almost zero of pangolin poaching in the protected area. So
Brilliant.
we don't get any into rescue anymore. So that's a good sign. We like to believe it's because of us.
Yeah.
But there's probably multiple factors we're not taking into account.
And what species are these, Rod?
We're working on white-bellied and black-bellied.
Mm-hmm.
We've most of our range data comes from the black-bellied pangolins. We followed 5 of them for a few years each, so we've got good data on that. But the white-bellieds we're seeing now pretty regularly. We figure that if we spend 5 to 10 hours in the field at night, you'll see a white-bellied pangolin.
Oh, wow.
And we also have our night watchmen sensitized to finding them. So they when there's clients in camp, they come and wake us up if they hear a white-bellied pangolin, and we wake the clients up and show them white-bellied pangolin in the camp or around the camp. And so that seems to be doing well. If you put in the effort, if you come there to see pangolins, if that's your sole goal, you will see pangolins. If you're coming there to see general wildlife and you don't put in much effort and you expect to see pangolins, you still might see pangolins, but you'd need to be quite lucky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And do you still have some black-bellied pangolins that you follow, or have those all now gone wild?
We have nothing now. Yeah, they've either died or gone wild. Or, yeah, we don't follow any. You know, we had to stop following them because you become aware once they're adults that your presence is actually stopping them from breeding, because the wild male or a wild female is not going to come near it while there's humans nearby. So we had to just say, right, this is the day we're going to stop. Yeah. And it's quite sad because you get really attached to them. You know, you really do. But you have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Empty nest syndrome for the pangolins. I get it. Yeah.
Well, the pangolins don't care. They don't. They're just used to you down there.
I know. See you talking about.
Yeah, it's like children. They don't care either, do they?
No, they do not care. Well, that's. I mean, it's to sort of say there's a 5 to 10 hours of effort for a pangolin must rank among the best places in the world now anywhere to see one, which is fantastic. And also, I mean, really good news that they're not being poached anymore, you think, in the protected areas, and largely, hopefully, that will continue, and thanks to your efforts. So that's really great, Rod. Yeah,
and I think certainly in the area around our lodge, they're not being poached, and the numbers are quite high of white-bellied pangolins.
Yeah.
Black-bellied pangolins, it's very hard to tell because even though they're diurnal, they're much harder to see than white-bellieds. They really have a very good strategy for not being seen, black-bellieds. That is just freezing. If they hear people come, they just freeze. And considering they're always 20 to 30 meters up a tree, you know, a frozen pangolin just blends in. You just don't see it, you know.
Yeah. And if people want to support your conservation work with pangolins in that area, is there some way that they can donate?
They can if they contact us directly, but I promise you the best support they can give is to come and visit.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best support you can give us, because it shows the local people that we're bringing people in. It shows the locals that there's interest. It shows the officialdom that there's interest. So the best support you can give us is to come and visit us.
Understood. So I know your lodge owns a large amount of land in the area that you haven't been able to use much yet due to lack of resources. What are your long-term plans for this?
Let's first correct it. We don't own the land. It's concession. So we own the concession for the next 15 odd years. And it's large. It's 720 square kilometers. So it's 72,000 hectares for people who work in those numbers.
Wow.
That's it's impossible to visit it because it's rainforest. So we've got 30-kilometer road that goes into it. It literally goes into the best areas of it. The rest of it is just kind of dry forest. So there's not much river in there, not much water in there. So it's pretty much pretty hard to get into. The long term, the plan was always to develop the series of Bais there into a series of places where we could have small miradors that people could sleep out and have maybe a walking trail and do mammaling out there. That area has got small numbers of giant pangolin as well. So we really wanted to develop that. It's also got a large group of chimps, a large tribe of chimps that would be good to get onto. It's also in the camera trap pictures got golden cat and other exciting things that get seen there as well. So yeah, it would be nice to have the money and the wherewithal to develop it, but we haven't got the numbers, we haven't got the clients coming in that we can afford to develop that unless we get a good investor who wants to do some philanthropic investments in that area. We can't do much with it now except the occasional camping trip.
Well, it sounds an amazing place.
Oh, it is really, it is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rod, you've told us a lot about the place, and I have to admit, as I've said earlier, it really is a stunning part of the world. Is there anything else that you would like to tell us about the area?
Look, for a mammaler, it's definitely one of the top places to go. There's lots we haven't investigated. If you got somebody with energy who wants to come in and do the footwork, there's a lot of exploring that can be done, but it has to be a keen mammaler. The potential is huge. The potential is vast. Come and visit. That's the best help you can do, or spread the word.
Indeed. Yeah.
So Rod, thank you so much. This podcast is for keen mammalers, and I feel sure that just about everyone listening will have their interest pricked by this and will really want to visit if they haven't done already, or to return. I'm feeling like I really need to come back. You said it's all about challenging the perceptions of the country as being safe. I felt very safe there. So Charles, you've explained how safe the place is to visit. And it is so worth visiting. It is such a magical lodge, magical park, fantastic set of mammals. There's always stuff to look for there, even birds. See, I said it. You've demonstrated again that you'll work with the local people to protect the forest, to protect the wildlife. It's incredibly important for conservation. So I hope people are persuaded that to visit there is not only a fantastic adventure, it's a safe adventure, and it's also extremely important for conservation. So please, everyone, visit, meet Rod, have a beer with him in the lodge and listen to some of his fantastic stories, which we've only gotten started with. But thank you, Rod. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're extremely busy while you're in South Africa. So very grateful for you making the time.
Thanks, John. You're very welcome.
Yeah. And let me just second John's comments there, because it really is an opportunity to go to one of the most isolated parts of the planet and see incredible wildlife. So I, again, second your comments, John, entirely. Definitely make an effort to go out there. You will not regret it.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, just to remind everybody that South Africa are still the world champions, and we did beat New Zealand for the 4th time in a row yesterday.
This is in bowls, is it?
No, it's in rugby, the only sport in the world.
You've been listening to Mammalwatching with Charles Foley and John Hall. You can find other episodes at mammalwatching.com/podcast.